everyone. Welcome to our 69th video session. We are excited to have Geetika today. Before we get started, I would like to tell you more about Impactionable and the purpose of our video sessions. I'm Bora Lachi, and I'm the project manager at Impactionable. Our mission is to create a community that values meaningful relationships and acts on the desire to make the world a better place. The purpose of our video sessions is to hear from social entrepreneurs and leaders in this space to speak to our community members and are a way for us to hear their ideas and help solve challenges for real-world social entrepreneurs around the world. We're always looking to grow and learn from each other. Again, I'm so excited to have Geetika with us today to hear about social impact listing and what challenges and asks that she has to our community. We would love for this to be interactive. We have some questions that have been sent to us, and we're going to do our best to help Geetika throughout her journey. So Geetika is an early stage entrepreneur who's worked in business process management roles at McKinsey & Company and Genpact. Currently, she leads Social Impact Listings, a website directory to aggregate resources in the social impact space, including organization, service providers, jobs, events, and more. She also volunteers with 3 nonprofits, Heartfulness Institute, SCORE San Diego, and Tory Project. Geetika, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here and talk to everyone out there today and share about what I've been doing, and I'm really looking for help and advice. So I'm really looking forward to the session today. So maybe I'll start with a brief introduction of what the website is about and what my idea behind creating this website was. And then probably I can go through some of the aspects what I've done so far and what are the challenges I'm facing.
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay. So, I mean, the idea, I am part of this social entrepreneurship meetup club, the local, San Diego social entrepreneurship club. And I realized that, that club consisted of members who were, interested. It wasn't just, those who were into social entrepreneurship, but several other people were also, part of that group. And that included, marketing consultants, impact consultants, investors, and people who were looking for jobs, they wanted to work with organizations that were doing good. And there were regular business people who wanted to maybe transition to doing something good, as well as people who just wanted to connect with like-minded people. So from there, being a person, having a background in research and analysis, I thought, how about I create a resource where, all these kind of people can get what they are looking for. So from there, started this idea. So it was supposed to be a local idea, making a website for San Diego where, we list down people who are, social entrepreneurs. Then we list down people who want to help such social entrepreneurs. Then opportunities with such companies, and that's how the idea got it evolved. And finally I thought why just limit it to San Diego, because these days it's and especially when I was brooding with this idea, the COVID was in its peak, and I realized the geographical boundaries were no longer a boundary, and people were collaborating across geographic locations. So why not have a global directory? And so that's how the that's what the idea was, to provide an opportunity for everyone to be a change maker in whatever way they want to. And now finally I see my vision to be the directory, even though I say global, I want it to be it's planned in such a way that even you can look for global resources as well as local resources. So my ultimate objective is whatever city we have, for each city we have its own ecosystem where we are able to find who are the people doing good, who are the people service providers wanting to help such businesses, what are the job opportunities, what are the events happening around, and much more. So that's about the idea. So as I touched upon the idea, this is predominantly what I have right now. So I have a listing of social entrepreneurs, then service providers. The service providers are not technically service providers, but also include accelerators that are supporting such impact making businesses. Then colleges and universities which are offering courses in social entrepreneurship, sustainability, ESG, like impact finance, anything. Then we have events. Events provide both a promotion opportunity for organizations that are there to help out social entrepreneurs, as well as those looking for learning and networking opportunities. Then jobs, it goes without saying, opportunities working for such social entrepreneurs, service providers. Then opportunities in the sense there are several awards, accelerators, grants, and which budding or even existing entrepreneurs can avail of. So having a resource where people can find resources to help them. And then provide these businesses more visibility where they can share their blogs, they can share their videos, they can share the website's capability is a lot, but right now I've limited it to videos, blogs, products, reports. Then a why. Firstly, we do have some scattered resources which are providing this kind of information, but what I realized was when I conducted my initial research, when I wanted to see if there's anything like that which is existing, but I found that there were if I want to find, okay, who is some what are the organization working in say employment and skill development or in the education sector, there are resources, but they are more limited to their probably what I would say is affiliation. For example, if they got fellowship from a particular organization, then that organization would have a list of its fellows and people, but it's not very comprehensive. Certainly, then similarly, there are websites which have listings for non-profits, but I didn't find any resource which was without any affiliation. It was welcoming everyone. Or there are networking organizations, but again they are membership based. So you have to be a member of that organization to get that listing. Second, good reason was public data. Now, even when I say certain organizations have their directories, but again, that information is limited to their members. It's not at times it is a publicly available directory, but not always. Third was we do have a lot of resources where you can find people organizations working in a particular sector, but I hardly found any website which was providing information about those who are helping such social entrepreneurs. So that would be there are so many accelerators who want to support such organizations. There are various courses that universities and colleges are offering. Then there are a lot of online trainings and material available out there for social entrepreneurs. So there's no database, or at least in my knowledge, that was available. So I thought it would be a great great set of organizations to focus on. They were providing there are marketing consultants who just want to work with people who are mission driven. So though that kind of a directory. And again, build a collaborative effort. It's not that organization which would be affiliated with us, we are only promoting them, but I want to promote everyone. So even if you look at my current social media posts, I try to share whatever I get from whatever I feel is relevant for the bigger community. So that's the why. Right now, I think one of the key challenges that I see is that, I am not monetizing the website right away. And that's why, whatever money I've put, I've bootstrapped it. So that gives me very limited resources, and I'm the only person who is working on this. So managing everything right from customizing the website, updating the data, reaching out to people, managing the social media, connecting with people. So everything. And so right now I don't have any revenues, but my idea was to maybe monetize the website with grants, partnerships, or sponsorships. And there are a lot of potential resources like advertising or nominal monthly fees from the listed businesses, or there are several opportunities for those businesses to advertise, share more about them in terms of blogs, videos, and different sets of posts that they can add to their profile. So maybe ask them for a little bit of money. But yeah, so right now I'm not able to monetize the website because I don't have much data. And since I don't have money, I don't have much to invest where I can involve more people, or take professional services where I can reach out to people. So that's the monetization part. So, I mean, I would like to share my current strategy, and perhaps that would give you an idea what I've done so far and how I can be helped. So right now, I would classify the period from where I started to right now into two phases. So one was the pre-launch phase where I hadn't launched the website. I was just collecting data and reaching out to people. And this was also the phase where I was testing out the idea, I was reaching out to organizations, and it gave me an opportunity to gauge whether such a website would be is it even required. And so from October to 2020, that was the time when this idea had come up, and when I started mobilizing my personal resources and started doing my research on what I need to do, who I need to reach out. So I researched and reached out to about about 250 organizations that this is my idea, and would you like to get listed, and would you be interested? So I sent personalized emails to every business, and it was it wasn't spam email or a bulk email. I did my thorough research on the kind of businesses I wanted to be there, and I individually and personally reached out via emails and the contact forms on websites. And I was happy with the result. It was about a 30% response rate. So when I launched the website, I had about 100 organizations that had agreed to be part of the website. They were happy about it. And the good part was, out of these 30%, I mean 25% did say that it was an amazing idea, and they were really excited about something like this. So, and at that point of time, what I could say, since the website was not live, so the potential issues, I would say, why I did not receive a response from the other 70%. I would say maybe they were not interested. Maybe the emails or messages I was sending was landing in their spam folder, or might be considered as spam, even if it was in their inbox. I don't know, because the actual website was not available. They didn't have a larger picture of what the end product would be. And I haven't added here, but maybe I would like to add, I don't know if I was reaching the right people, because when I am if there's an organization and I try to find, okay, this is their contact email, or this is where they want to be reached out to. Now that email, it could either go to their main founder. So I don't know if it was reaching the founder, if it was reaching their what do we say, the general admin department. At some places it was in some cases I did have you want to reach out to the media team, media contacts were there, press contacts were there. So I think the response was good from the media related people, because media and marketing related people, because I think they are the ones who are looking for avenues to market about the company. And so I don't know what the issue was. Then perhaps I think early February is when I launched the website, made it public. So this would be the time from February 2020 to June, current June 2021. So again, the action was personalized emails. And I also realized that since, because I thought maybe emails were landing in spam folder, or people might consider it as a spam, it was better to, because LinkedIn has more credibility, where people know who you are, they can see your background, see who you are connected with. So one of the strategy was I built a lot of LinkedIn contacts, and that really helped me. And So it was easier to approach, but again, organizations where maybe the founders are too busy. So again, like depends on how many LinkedIn requests or things they are receiving in their box. So it might have been missed. And I started posting on Facebook, LinkedIn groups, and also I also started focusing on aggregating. Like in my initial idea was that these businesses that are posting, they would only post their jobs available with them, they would post their events, they would post their opportunities. But I realized that people, I don't know the reason, maybe they didn't have enough opportunities to post. And again, another challenge was that, as I said, when I was reaching out, okay, what would you like to get listed on the website, the interest party was the marketing departments of those businesses. So now if I want them to post maybe jobs, the jobs are handled by a different department. So I think connecting and so I think that was one of the challenges. So what I thought was maybe I'll possibly aggregate on myself, where I see okay, these are the jobs that are relevant, or these are the events that are relevant. So again, again, the action proved to be quite tedious, where I was reaching out and I'm still, I do that, reaching out to organizations. Okay, this is the website, is it okay if we list your event, is it okay if we list your job? So the results were like, I was during this 4 to 5 months, I was able to add another 100 organizations, and the job section on the website did become one of the most visited sections after the home page. So I realized that people were really interested and they were really following the jobs page. But again, since it was just me working on it, and I'm not working full time on this, so that leaves me with very limited time that I can spend. So managing everything, so sometimes I was focusing on getting more organization, sometimes on posting. So that's scattered effort. So again, the potential issues could be they're not interested, emails maybe landing in spam, or maybe now that the website is there, maybe the website is not very compelling, and also for the jobs, the contacts on the website are not really available, because most of them prefer that the website is mostly for people who are applying for jobs, so they don't really share any contact information.
Mm.
So that has been the strategy so far. So one of the key challenge is what I see, besides people considering, okay, it's landing in a spam folder or maybe a spam email. I think it does matter, when the website is there, people want to know, okay, who else is there? So if they do see okay, there are very well-known organizations out there, they are very interested. If there's none, they might not be very interested. Mm-hmm. And also is the effort of inputting the information or posting worth it? Because as of right now, that's what I call the catch-22 situation, where unless I have data, people won't be interested. And how do I get that data? How do I encourage people? Okay, maybe immediately you don't see many well-known organizations or too many peers, but eventually, that's the whole idea, eventually build a database where, it becomes a go-to source. And again, since I don't have substantial data on the website, I can't do a large scale promotion to the intended audience also, because if I say, oh, come on to the website, browse marketing consult, search a marketing consultant, and they go there and they see, okay, there are just 10 or 15 listed in that category, it won't look very promising to them, or too many choices. So that's the key challenge that I see. Some of the possible solutions that I've thought about myself that could help were maybe improve the website. Maybe the website is not compelling. Then maybe I should first focus on organizations only, or maybe I should focus on posting more of jobs, events, or opportunities. Then marketing efforts are indeed definitely how we put across the idea. Then probably engage with influencers or mentors who can who have a better network, and if they say, because I think that was again a challenge, because I came from a totally different background. People who were in my LinkedIn list were not people who were interested. I mean, they might be, but they were not the ones who were into social impact. So it took me a long time to connect with people in this area. Then artificial intelligence is one solution in terms of like, inputting data on the website. So that would do away with a lot of manual effort. Then opening public signups. So right now, initially I did open the public sign up where an organization could sign up and they create their own profile. But I realized that it was getting diluted in the terms, like sometimes organizations that are not relevant for the website, they were signing up. So that was a challenge. And then again, a possible solution could be partnerships and sponsorships by people who are already established and are known. Then again, challenges in the implementing the possible solutions that I could already think of are like, I don't have revenue, so I have very limited amount to spend further because I've already spent some amount on developing the platform and building, customizing it. Then financing, non-revenue focus and no sectoral focus. So financing in the sense, like I sometimes do see opportunities in terms of grants and awards where there are organizations who want to sponsor or fund organizations that are making an impact. But one thing is that this is a directory more it doesn't have a very revenue focus that that I show them numbers, okay, this is the amount of revenue it can earn. And it also doesn't have any sectoral focus, because usually those grants they want to invest in somebody who's doing something in the education field, or maybe this climate change, or some having sectoral focus. So I don't know if there are any opportunities where somebody would be willing to sponsor to this kind of an initiative. Then content dilution is the challenge that I feel when I say open signups. Then it's difficult to keep attraction, because there's certain idea in mind, okay, people who are doing impactful work, they are to be listed, opportunities in this area. But then I did see sometimes people, like a regular consultant might also want to get listed as a marketing opportunity. But the idea is to have only people who are it's not like solely, because of course if there's an organization, they might serve different types of clients, but predominantly mission, those who are catering to mission driven or purpose driven companies. And values dilution in having more partners, I don't know if that's a real challenge, but sometimes I feel if I involve more people, I don't know if they would like to stick to the values, or what way they would like to go. So I think that's about it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I mean, this was so great, and it kind of gives more individuals to know about social impact listings and what you're doing. And I kind of just want to dive in more to see kind of what actions or kind of changes that you can also be doing. So I know that one of the challenges you met you said was about website design. Mm-hmm. And I know that, everyone's looking at having mentors or kind of creating a board, but have you ever thought of finding volunteers, either reaching out to students or just who in the community college or universities or high school students to say if they're interested in being an unpaid intern to help individuals on that website design, to help you on that aspect? Because looking at the website, I do see it's so heavily with so much data that even when you're reaching out to individuals to let them know more about what you're doing, I feel like it can just be so distracted that they just don't know where to look. So the website design is kind of one of those things that people will go there and be drawn to it. Either they'll be drawn into it or drawn out of it. So, have you thought about maybe reaching out to volunteers or in the student aspect?
I did think about it, but I was concerned about the legal part of it because Yeah, because I consulted with a HR person, and I was told that like that's what I wanted to explore, what's the process of hiring an intern or getting a volunteer. So I was told volunteers are strictly for non-profits. So I haven't registered this as a non-profit but as an LLC.
Okay.
So I cannot have volunteers. And about the interns, again, there are various uh, legal things involved, where I cannot hire someone just to enter data, or without giving them a learning opportunity.
Yeah. And I think that's one way to partner with the university. And
Hmm.
then just because every university has a aspect of like a job portal that they partner with different organizations. And
Hmm.
then so reaching out to a certain university and say, hey, I'm an LLC, this is what I'm doing. And then you can create a job description of what they're going to be doing. So you can
Hmm.
have someone, because that data is so important, as you said, on the website, that when you're reaching out to organizations, partnerships, or sponsorships,
Hmm.
showing that, this is our click-through rate, or this is what individuals on social media, like we post this much, this is what we're getting in return. So creating like a job description might be so much easier, but partnering with the university and say, hey, I understand that you are using this platform to share jobs for your students. How do I get to be part of your platform? And then share a short job description of, saying this is unpaid, but you'll get experience since you are a solo entrepreneur and you're doing this all by yourself, which is amazing. I will have to tell you that it's a lot of work as well. So I can't imagine like getting all that data and like putting it all in, but the learning experience for kids who are in college would just be so much more because it's still that research aspect that they'll be getting and
Hmm.
getting it from an organization that's starting out still that doesn't really have all the resources would be that learning aspect of it's a new way of them they can come up with innovative ideas as well, so that can help you and just say, hey, look at, if you're doing partnership with university, say if you want website design, see anyone in engineering and
Hmm.
say, I just want to focus on kids who are in engineering so that AI can come into play as well. But I would say partner with the university or community college
Hmm.
and then ask to be on their platform. And then I think it's usually like a sheet of paper that you have to sign up. And then that's the way that you can get in through there and get an unpaid intern to just help you with more of that research side.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I haven't actively researched for that, but maybe it's a good way to try out.
Yeah, I just think it's so easy just for you to also like get help in that aspect. And it's not just you doing it all by yourself and having a student. They're just a lot more intrigued to help out and learn more because
Uh,
they're all about that learning
yeah,
process.
yeah.
Can you, I like, that's one thing that I noticed. One of the audience members asked, like, do you have an audience or demographic that the social impact listings are, going towards? Is there an age range or is it just for anyone?
Just for anyone.
Okay.
That's the whole
Um,
idea, people from different, as I said, somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur can get inspiration and resources in terms of, who to reach out to, people who are, already in there, they might want to help out such organizations. So there's no demographic range, I would say.
okay. I love that. I think it's so great because you're just opening it up to the whole public and the whole, and it's global, which is amazing. But I also feel like looking at like the global aspect, some
Mhm.
individuals were concerned that might it be too overwhelming? Like, should you focus locally first and build the
Yeah.
organization there and then move it globally? Like, have
Mhm.
you thought about like just focusing in California first and then seeing how that grows and partnering with organizations there and then move it slowly globally, or kind of there was just that's like one of the challenges that we had a question come in saying globally could cause just a whole another can of worms because it's so much
So much,
and
yeah.
there's so much data and so many organizations are everywhere who are doing social impacts
Mhm.
right now, especially after during COVID. So there's like, have you thought of just shifting the focus just locally instead of going globally?
Yeah, I mean, Sometimes I do feel that, but again, like, sometimes I feel that the idea about the website is not just connecting people, but it's also about inspiration and resources. So I felt somewhere like, maybe somebody who is like, doing a business in, say, US, might get an idea from somebody who is doing a different kind of a business in, say, UK.
Yeah.
So it's also about like, inspiration and ideas that, okay, what are people doing there? Or like, because there are always like, scope to learn, like, uh, like, maybe we are doing like, maybe I have a zero waste store in like, in San Diego, and somebody has a zero waste store in UK or Australia or India. So what are they doing? What kind of resources they are using? What kind of strategy they have? So I think it would help to know about what's happening globally.
Mm-hmm. I love
So
that. I mean, I love the idea of
I
having
mean,
it.
in some cases, yes, like, as I said, like, since there's not much volume, so sometimes, like, for example, if we have a job section, I do understand, like, it becomes tough, like, you have jobs in, suppose, like, predominantly in US, so nobody from India would really look for job in that portal. But again, like, I felt like, when we have these, like, because a lot of things are going virtual, so I thought that, for example, like, you have these sessions, like, events, they are
Mm-hmm.
open virtually these days. So like, I think it gives an opportunity people across the world to come together and collaborate.
I love that. Yeah,
So,
I
so
do agree. I think it's so big just to when you have it globally, especially now, it's so easy to access everything.
yeah, yeah.
The
So though,
resources.
like, maybe it would have been better in terms of scaling up, like maybe
Yeah.
started with, so my idea was initially like, when I did my research, I realized like, there was like, quite a few research reports which listed that, okay, these are the top 20 cities into social entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
So like, San Diego was one of them, but there were other, like, there were other, like, Boston, like some of the major cities. So I thought maybe I should focus on those cities. But again, like, when I started reaching out, I realized that I wasn't getting, like, it wasn't like, I wasn't able to make out if I was getting response. So I thought I had to, like, like, be more diverse, and like, reach out to all kind of organizations and all kind of people, because I didn't know, like, who would be responding.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I mean, it's like the catch 22, you can be
Yeah,
local and then you can grow here, but then you have to stand
yeah.
out. Another thought that I was having while you were speaking is, have you thought of creating like a newsletter?
Newsletter, yes, and I do have people who've signed up for
Okay, perfect.
newsletter. But again, the challenge is time. Like,
Timing.
if I like,
Yes.
if I have to design a newsletter, then like, it would require a lot of time and effort, and especially if like, I release it once, like I want to make it regular, then I need
Hmm.
to, like, I just don't want, because I know, like, I receive so many newsletters, but only there are few which I really find worth it.
Yes.
So I do have that in a pipeline, and I do want to do it with sharing, like, meaty content, not just like, send it for the sake of it.
Yes. Yes.
So, but again, it would require a lot of time. So that's how, like, I'm prioritizing, okay, what's the most important thing to do right now? And I think it's content building.
Hmm. I do think so too. One of the biggest things is even just getting individuals to be attracted to you. And I think with your website, for monetization wise, I think advertising is a great way to go and
Yeah.
start placing ads on there. And then the other one is sponsorships.
Mhm.
I do think that, partnerships are amazing, but sometimes with partnerships, you might just get, it depends really on the partner that you get, and then the legal gets involved. But with sponsorships, it's so much, I think it's that win-win situation, because you can sponsor a job, you can sponsor their ad, or you can sponsor something about them. So that's why even when you create a newsletter, you can dedicate something to say, oh, we got this organization to sponsor us, this is something about them. So
Mhm.
that can also tailor way the story aspect, but the content is so important.
Mhm.
And how you really share your information and what information you share. But the sponsorship is a way that when you reach out to individuals to say, hey, I'm asking to sponsor for
Mhm.
this amount of money. And then this is when you tell them, like, this is what you're doing. And then the partnerships that you were saying is so important to say what other organizations you're working with.
Yeah.
And either that can be on your website to say, I partnered with, or these people sponsor me, or these are the individuals who I have listed,
Mhm.
because then that credibility builds up on your end as well. And
Mhm.
being global, I think that helps because you're not only focusing on the Bay Area, you're literally focusing everywhere,
Mhm.
that individuals can say, oh, well, she's based on San Diego, but she has partners in Texas and Chicago and the UK,
Mhm.
and those people are sponsoring her website. So that credibility would also start adding that into it. And then when you reach out to individuals, start saying, I have so and so, or so and so is listed on our website. This is what they're doing.
Mhm.
Especially when it comes to job portals and like the job aspect, having like reaching out to a hiring manager, you
Mhm.
know, talking to them hand in hand on LinkedIn. Like if you see someone who's a hiring manager and they say we're looking for jobs in the social impact, or we have a job listing, that would also be another way to contact individuals and say, oh, I have this great, website. Would you be willing to post on it?
Mhm.
So you can
Yeah,
get that
that's
most.
exactly like, what I've been doing. But again, like, as I said, like, it's a lot of effort
It
because
is.
you have to sift out, like, what's a relevant job that you would want to promote.
Yes.
And then, like, reaching out, then receiving a confirmation, then posting it. So,
Yes. And that's when a lot of the do comes from having a bigger team,
yeah.
because you doing it solely, because all the challenges is, and then we'll definitely, this will be on our YouTube, so more individuals will have that interaction and can reach out to you. But one of the biggest challenges of working by yourself is the time.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
time management, that you have all these amazing, great ideas of, creating a website or getting ads or, reaching out to individuals. But the amount of time you put onto reaching to individuals on LinkedIn, like you reached out to 250 organizations.
Hmm.
That's
That,
a lot of time to like personalize.
yeah.
It's not like you just sent a whole email out, like personalize those individuals. It takes a lot of time. And
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest challenges that you'll be facing, that you'll have some bottlenecks in the process, because you can't go from A to B with A to C without going through B, and that takes time. So I think the first step I would take is really do look into reaching out to universities
Hmm.
and getting 2 to 3 different interns,
Hmm.
and then challenging them to be like, one person can just be on business development, so basically all outreach. Another person can be on website design.
Yeah.
Another person can be on content and marketing, because in the end, marketing is where it's at. You can have a great organization, but if you're not having the content, it's really not, people are not really going to know until they see what have you produced or what have you done.
Hmm.
So you standing out from different competitors and different individuals who are in the social impact space, or who are doing one thing other than the other from one aspect, and you're doing everything, and they might do a factor of that. But I think the biggest step that will get you to grow and get you just to really get to the next level and getting those sponsorships and getting more individuals interested is really having 2 to 3 interns and giving them those roles of, this is a job description that you'll be doing. And then, you never know, like if you have advertising, you can say, within a year or two, we can start paying for interns. But that's the biggest thing that will help you out, because unless you start really small, because I feel like the other aspect would really just to tailor back and just focus locally and grow that
Hmm.
before making it globally again. But if your whole focus is globally, having 2 to 3 interns to help you out will definitely help with the website, with the research, with the content that to grow in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So I was like, so it's a lot, but it's definitely something that needs to be here. And like, you don't see that a lot of places. Like, you see what you've done and what you created is something so unique that needs to be known for other individuals. But, you could also partner with like universities who have social impact, and just say, hey, I have this, like, would you want to be a sponsor?
Hmm.
They have their own job portal, but then having something else where teachers can use, where professors can use. So that's another aspect to turn into. Even when you look at different nonprofits, there's a lot of nonprofits that would value from the resources that you do offer.
Hmm.
And then they might not know of another organization or another entrepreneur that's doing something. So they're like, oh, well, this person is, like you said, is doing something in the UK. They can be a nonprofit in the Bay Area. Like, oh, well, I want to reach out to them. They go through your website.
Hmm.
So it's really building those connections, but creating more team members will help. And like you said, like partners is just, you don't want to have too big of a team because that just can cause too much miscommunication, but something that's small and just interactive and building that everyone has their own roles and you're just overseeing it will make your job a little bit easier so you can grow social impact listings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what just like, I think it's like the biggest thing of reaching out to the universities and see how you can partner with them. Another question I had was, I know that you said in phase one, you reached out to 250 organizations
Mm-hmm.
and 100, you had 100 about them. Have you thought, this was before you launched your website, did you reach out to the other organizations that never responded and just say, hey, we have our website is relaunched, like?
Yeah. I mean, I did organizations that I had reached out to initially. I did within that period only I had reached out to, like, from those, I did not receive a response, I did reach out to them again. So some of them did respond and they did say that they, so at times I feel that it might help when I send reminders, but again, I don't want to spam them. So I sometimes I feel maybe, like, is the effort in reaching out to them again versus maybe reach out to some new organizations. So it's the
Yeah,
trade-off.
and I think the biggest thing also that when you do reach out to an organization, there's these there's this book called How to Get a Job in like seconds or something. Like I have to figure it out. But there's this book that talks about when you're searching for a job that,
Mhm.
you know, you reach out to one person, they don't respond, you give them a week, you respond, you follow up, they don't respond again, you do the follow up another third time. If they don't respond, then you reach out to someone else in the organization. And
Mhm.
especially if you're looking at, I feel like who you're going to reach out to is really focus on the startup entrepreneurs, like
Mhm.
the early stage, because
Yeah,
those individuals will most likely reach out to you because they want the exposure.
they want the exposure. Yeah.
They want individuals to know who they are. A nonprofit that's starting out,
Mhm.
who's in the social impact space, reach out to them as well because they want other people like, oh, you're going to share my video. They get that exposure because when you, and then once you're slowly getting with the early to mid stage companies, that's so much easier to get the later ones because then you built this portfolio of like, I've had so and this is what I've done for them. You know, I've posted this job and because through my site, they hired someone, or I've been posting their content on my Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. And because of that, these are the conversion rates. And then the other big organizations will start seeing that.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important to like also start with the early to mid stage
Mhm.
and then move on to the big organizations because it's harder when you get, you know,
Yeah.
you can send out an email and then they don't respond. I would send 3 emails and after that find someone else in the organization that
Mhm.
might be another fit and say, hey, I've reached out to so and so, I would
Mhm.
love to talk to you about this my company that I have and this is what we're doing, do you have time to talk about it?
Mhm.
But don't get discouraged if someone doesn't respond to you, but like go and find
Because I
someone
did
else.
realize that, from the email address that are there on the website, the regular one, info, or
Yeah.
help, contact, you don't really get that kind of a response from them. But because there were times when I reached out to organizations via that, vis-a-vis when I contacted them directly through LinkedIn, the response was much better. And they, most of the times they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead,
Yes.
but again, I found very few people who were really interested in listing themselves or trying out the platform. So nowadays, what I've done is I just ask, would you like to get listed? And if they say yes, I just pick up the information on my own and I do it, because a lot of times they don't get back. And
Yeah.
I think it's also to do with maybe how busy everyone is these days. I mean, they're juggling with so many things and responsibilities and so many distractions. I think that's also one of the reason why, even though a person is interested, but the effort, okay, who would spend, people have their priorities. So yeah.
Yes. And it's also a lot of it is, you know, when you do reach out, they expect, you know, you're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
like you're taking something off. So when you ask for like a lot of information, like, oh, okay, like this is too much work. They don't know, do I have to pay? Do I not have to pay? How does this work? So it's
Yeah.
like all those other stuff that they're just like, oh, what do I need to do? But when it goes to like you saying, hey, you know what? I saw your job listing. Can I post it on my website? Here's my website. If they say yes, and then you take that initiative, then you just respond back and say, oh, your job posting is posted. Here's the link. Please let me know, like I want to continue if you have any other videos, where can I get more resources? Because then it becomes more of a conversation and you're building that trust with them instead of, you know, having overwhelming number of organizations on your website. But I think it's that saying like quality versus quantity. So having the organizations who are giving you something back in return, who are responding to you and say, yes, like here's a video we'll post it, would you mind posting it? Or here's something that so and so created. And the other thing is like really just I think the biggest thing is sharing everything on LinkedIn, you know, post 2 to 3 times a day, like say, oh, another listing, or we created something. And I know that's so
I do, and
yeah,
but again, like as I said, like I just have a few hours in a day, and
yes,
so like
and it's a lot.
yeah, so it's like should I focus on posting on internet, or should I focus on like reaching out to more people? And at the same time, I have to like I have this like now right now like I have this pending list of organizations who are okay with listing, but since
Mm-hmm.
I'm like all over the place, like I
Oh
have
yeah,
to post this. So I have a pending list of organizations who are like now that they're okay with listing, but I don't have the time to input their information.
information, yeah.
But
And
I'm
I
like,
think
at least they've agreed, so I have them.
yeah, you have them there.
Yeah,
But I think
cool.
the big thing is really sit down and say, what are your goals that you're trying to get out of this? Because it can be so overwhelming to have so much information coming at you, and there's so much resources out there that sometimes it can, I can't imagine get it like for you to get overwhelmed. It's like I get overwhelmed when I go on LinkedIn, I see so many things. I'm like, okay, we're gonna just stop today. Like we will deal with
Yeah,
this.
and also like this is one of the challenges that it's not just like doing your work. And this is what happens. So for example, like if I go on LinkedIn, I want to post something, I come across so many things that like I get distracted myself.
Yeah.
Like I read an article, somebody has shared something good, and I feel that being in this area, like I should know about things. So a
Yeah.
learning is also a part of it. Like I just can't say, okay, this. I need to know also, like what are SDGs, what is happening, what is.
Yes.
So I need to read also.
Yeah.
So
And that takes another time because you're
yeah,
learning
yeah.
of like what's going on in the
Many
world and
times
what can you
the same
share.
thing that like there's like I go to the LinkedIn, and like every day, like I have my schedule. Okay, today I'm going to focus on this. So every day it's like, okay, this much time I'll like post on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever is relevant, try to find it. But like it ends up taking more time, because then I get carried away. Like, okay, somebody has shared something. Now in order to determine that should I share it, I need to myself go through it, right?
Yeah.
I cannot just share something randomly. Okay, this is so I share it. I have to share it first. I myself have to go through the article, and from
Yeah.
there, like so that again takes like
Takes a
considerable
lot of
amount of
time.
time.
Yes.
At
And
times,
that's
I reach out to people, then they want to speak to me. So again, like scheduling meetings. So sometimes it's a lot of effort just networking with people and gaining that trust and credibility.
yes. And that's literally everything is the time it takes. You know, you're learning, you see something, there's resources that's overwhelming. But I think the biggest thing is really sitting down and saying, like, what are your end goals that you want to accomplish? You know, who do you want to focus on content first and then just more people to know about social impact listing? Then I would focus on that and produce and like promote yourself majority of what you already have.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you literally just start posting and saying social impact listing, this is what we're doing. This is another feature. We have this, and keep posting that. Then I feel organically, instead of you researching, people are going to start reaching out to you.
Reaching out, yeah. I
And
mean, it's
that's
not that nobody has reached out. Like I have, like some really good people have contacted. Some really like
yes,
so that has been there, but not as much as I expected it to
yes.
be.
And
So
I
yeah,
think that
no
comes from
doubt,
you promoting yourself. So
Yeah.
I would focus a lot
I've
on,
tons of other ideas also. So, and sometimes it's as simple as maybe like sometimes I feel like maybe I should get some kind of a sponsorship or grant so that can help me outsourcing the marketing, because I mean I have the ideas in place, I need to have a newsletter, what type of content I want. So I have those ideas and everything in mind. It's just that I personally don't have time and I need to
Mhm.
prioritize. So I think
Yes.
what I myself want to prioritize right now is the content, because
Yes.
unless we have a content to sell, there's no point in marketing or reaching out to people. So
Yeah.
I'm
And I
thinking,
think that's the biggest thing because you
yeah,
have so
but
much
sometimes
content.
I do feel that simultaneously there is a need for good content
Oh,
also.
yeah.
So how about hiring someone, and for that I need to pay, but I'm I've already invested certain amount and I'm not in a position to because I
Yes.
don't know how it's going to fare in the future. So I feel like, so then my mind gets diverted. How about finding some funding opportunities? Or sometimes I feel like, should I get some people as mentors or advisors, so that
Mhm.
I benefit from what they have to say. But again, it would need a lot of investment in terms of if I have someone, then they might want some kind of a presentation, okay, numbers, this. So then again, it's a time involvement that, okay, you have to build that, you have to study and analyze this.
Yeah.
So the
No,
time,
I think time is everything.
yeah.
Time is everything. But I think the biggest thing is instead of reaching out to other organizations right now, I think you really need to start promoting yourself and what you're offering and what you have available right now. So
Mhm,
other individuals can start reaching out to you. And
mhm,
then you can take away a little bit of that time of you promoting and you reaching out to other organizations, but you promoting on LinkedIn,
mhm.
2 to 3 times a day, Twitter. I mean, people say you have to tweet 15 times a day to get more people to notice you. So
Okay.
it's really, yeah. So it's really, and like, you have stuff like different platforms that can help with like tweeting the time, and you don't have to be on there. You can schedule everything.
Mhm,
But it's really just you right now. I would say your biggest focus is really promoting yourself and the work you've already done. So you
mhm,
can take away from that business development of reaching out to organizations and
mhm,
then really just look into promoting and putting your organization to universities to find unpaid interns, because I feel like this is a learning process for a lot of individuals, especially college students, to really learn how to reach out to people, how to get sponsorships, how to look at data, what's important, what's not important.
mhm,
And I feel like college students now are just more innovative and have the resources that they can quickly do stuff and find stuff. So I think the two biggest things that I would give for my advice to you is really to
mhm,
minimize your challenges is start producing and promoting your content you have now, and
mhm,
then really just ignore for a little bit the business development of reaching out to new organizations,
mhm.
and then finding 2 to 3 interns to help so you can delegate what you need to be done,
Okay.
and then find sponsorships, create more organizations. But once you promote yourself, I think that would be so much easier for individuals and other organizations to be like, oh wow, like Gitika does social impact listings, like what is this about, let me see like what who is she promoting or what organizations, and more people would want to know that, especially that you're not charging anyone. I think that's a pro that people are gonna be like, oh, this is great, like I want to share my what
Mhm,
I'm doing with different people, I want to share my content.
mhm.
So that's kind of like my two takeaways. I know we're a minute on time that we have, but these are just basically that I think what you should be doing moving forward to really just grow social impact listings.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Of course,
Just
no, thank you.
so reassuring, hearing from someone and just brainstorming. That's what I'm saying. I don't even have support in terms of discussing it with people, unless because I don't have a circle in my immediate family or friends who are
In
interested.
the field.
Yeah,
And like I do think like, mentors and advisors are so useful,
yeah,
but picking the right mentors and advisors are more important than having five multiple people and telling you one thing, because in the end, your thought and my thought can be two completely different things. I can give you my opinion,
mhm,
but it's really finding those individuals, even if it's just one advisor, one mentor that you see in the social impact or who started out and be like, what do you think I should be doing?
Mhm.
But it's also, you know, us hosting conversations like this so our community can know. And then you can get more of that idea of like, oh, so the community is talking about like certain issues or this is what they're thinking and then how that can help you tailor your organization. But I would just say like you have something really great, but instead of overdoing it and tiring yourself out by the amount of research and resources that is offered, is really promoting everything that you have right now, and
Yeah.
that will get the more traction of individuals to know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get that traction, then the problem is resolved because the website has the capability where people can post themselves. So I don't need to have people who have to
Hmm.
input data or do just data entry. But yeah, I mean, let me try that out.
Yes, yes. So I would just say that, and then you're gonna have to keep us posted. But it was so great just talking to you. This was just a really great, informative, and great discussion to really just get to know more about social impact listing. So I really hope that our conversation just gives you some more guidance of what you can do moving forward. And if anyone has any question or community, I will be happy to share your email with them. And then just a few announcements before we do sign off. We're always looking for video session speakers. So if anyone is interested, please let me know, and then we'd be happy to have you. And then if you're a job creator or a job seeker, you can use our social impact job portal. Will connect you directly to each other in very transparent, efficient ways. We're really thankful for you, Gatika. Like what you're doing is amazing. And I think it's something that will grow and continue to grow. So really, we do thank you for being a part of the community of doers. And we'll have this recording posted within a week. And we hope to see everyone in our next session.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You and thanks to you guys also. Like you guys are doing some awesome job and keep
Oh,
up at it.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.